Hey guys, and welcome back to part 1. In this first part we're going to go ahead and set up our reference images and so on, and then we'll go ahead and start modeling the case. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do though is get rid of a lot of this stuff that we're not going to use, so I have more space to work with because I got to work in lower resolution than I normally do. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go to display UI elements and then tear off this panel. And we're not going to need the status line, the time slider because we're not doing any animation, range slider, the command line, help line, the toolbox we kind of need, even though I do most of the stuff with shortcuts, but we'll have that on the side. And I'll turn this off as well and only get it up when we need it. And I'll actually also turn off my shelf. I normally want to use the primitives from here, but I can also go ahead and go to create polygon primitives and access these from there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off as well, which will give us a lot more space to work with. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and set up our reference images. So I'll just go to my front view and make sure that you don't move around here when we go ahead and set up the images. So just go to view image plane and then import image plane, and you should have the references that you can download from Tuts Plus. So we're going to go ahead and import our front image, and then straight away we're going to go ahead and go to a side view, and I'm using this space and then click and drag to the side view. This is the way I change views and this is the fastest for me. So then in the side view you're going to do the same thing, import image plane and then import the side one. Okay. And then we'll go back into our perspective mode, and we're going to go ahead and move these around so they're at the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and select the front plane. You can also go ahead and do it here. So select the front plane there and then bring up your attribute editor with Control A. And if you press Control A again, your channel box will pop up instead. And then we're going to scroll down to image plane input. And if you come down to center XY is where we can go ahead and move it around. So we're going to go ahead and push this, the front plane back in the Z. So I'm going to set this to probably about -30, and then that will go back. And I'll do the same thing with the side one as well. So I just click and drag to select it, then go to inputs of the image plane. And for this one, we're going to move it in the X. So center, X, and move it -30 in that as well. Now all we gotta do is move them up and probably line them up in the center as well. So I'll go into my front view, and you notice then your orthographic view you can't click and drag the image planes, so instead we're going to go ahead and select them in here, and then again go into my inputs, center Y. I'm just going to go ahead and try to drag this up once I selected it. So center Y, and there we go. So I'll just drag this up so it roughly lines up with this middle line. Okay, and while we're here we might as well move it in the center as well. So that's going to be X, and my mouse is freaking out sometimes, so I do apologize for that. So I'll try to line this up in the center with the Corsair sign, and then once we line it up there roughly, we can have a look at how many boxes there are here. So 4, 6, and now 2, 4, 6 here as well, and a bit more. So it needs to move a little bit more, probably around there, maybe a bit more. I can also go ahead and slow down my slider a bit, and that might make my life easier. So what I'm looking at here, I'll show you in a minute, what I'm trying to line up is if you have a look at this line and have a look at that line. Now I'm looking at the distance of the side of the case, or the black line, and I'm trying to line it up on both sides. Okay, so that looks about right. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the side. So go into our side view, make sure that it's selected, and go ahead and go into our inputs and find our Y, not the offset but the center Y, and go ahead and drag that up. Make sure that it's sitting at the right place, and I think this one should be roughly in the center as well. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that too much. Okay, so now we have our references set up. What we're going to do is we're going to select both of them, and we're going to go ahead and add them to a layer. So if you click this one, it will create a new layer and assign whatever you have selected. So let's go ahead and do that, and we're going to go ahead and double click this and name this references underscore layer. Okay, and we'll set this to be on reference, and then we can't select them to move them around, so that's great. Okay, so we got our references set up. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and start modeling the case. So you might go ahead and think it's fairly a simple shape because it's basically a box and stuff, but probably the most difficult bit on it is where you're going to start off. So what would be the best place to start off to go ahead and model bits off? So there are obviously many techniques that you can go ahead and start modeling this case. The one that I found the simplest and the one that we're going to go through is we're going to go ahead and start off with this panel here. So we'll go ahead and create the front panel, and then after that, once we got this basic curve down, it should be pretty simple to go ahead and use that mesh again to go ahead and create the other pieces. We're also going to go ahead and just bring in our top reference for now. We only need that temporarily, but we'll bring that in as well. So go to top view and then import image plane. So there's a top, and this is a picture that I took, and also it's not, we only really need it for this curve here, so we're not really going to use this a lot apart from this curve. Okay, so I'm not even going to bother moving it around too much in that. We might have to go ahead and rotate that. If we go ahead and go into the inputs, we should be able to go ahead and rotate this. I'm sure I did when probably here. Alright, that didn't work out very well. So let's go ahead and set this back to -90. Try this with 90. There we go. Okay, so now we rotated that as well. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do, make sure that we add this to our layer as well. And then we're going to go ahead and start modeling this piece in, okay? So we're going to start off with this curve right here, and let me close these so there's a bit more space for me to work with. So I'll get rid of this as well. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a plane. So polygon primitives, and then find my plane. And I'm going to go ahead and drag it out from here to there. Okay, so this is going to be pretty straightforward and simple. So turn on my X-ray, and then let's go ahead and move this word around and that word around, and then go ahead and select this edge, and we're going to go ahead and start extruding this. I also normally tear off this panel to edit mesh, put it on the side, which is a bit more difficult when I have less space to work with, but I'm sure this will still do just fine. So let's go ahead and extrude this, and then press W to move. Okay, and I'm just trying to line this up with this back line, and now we can press G to just do the same action that we did last time, which is extrude. And I don't really like this one, I'm going to move it up a little bit more. Okay, so select this edge again, press G, and we can carry on extruding this out. Okay, and I'm just moving my camera, so press G again. Ooh, let's extrude again and move this down. Okay, now here we're going to need a bit more divisions. We could also just do one extrude here and then I'll do extrude here and bevel it, but I prefer to do it manually. So we're going to do it that way, but you can go ahead and use bevel if you wish. I'm going to go ahead and select the edge and go ahead and extrude this down. So if you notice, and if you watched my other series, which was the modeling the Wally series, I try to stick to the very basic tools of Maya. You don't really need all these tools in here to go ahead and model something fairly complicated like Wally. It does speed up your workflow a little bit if you go ahead and use the other tools as well. It depends how much experience you have in Maya and what you feel comfortable with and whatnot. So for the Wally series as well as this one, I try to stick to the more basic tools so you guys don't start once you get the hang of the basic tools, you'll be able to model just about anything really with them basic tools, so you don't need to know all the tools inside Maya to go ahead and start modeling something fairly complex. So again, I'm just extruding down and rotating at the same time. As you see, I try to keep fairly nice divisions here. Okay, so one more and then we'll go ahead and extrude it all the way down, and let's just straighten this up. Okay, and that looks about right to me. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and extrude it one more time, drag it all the way down to roughly in the center, and then we'll go ahead and duplicate this for the bottom. So I'm just going to select the verts and then press scale and scale it down to straighten it up. And once we have that, we can go ahead and select this whole object. Just press Ctrl D to duplicate, and then in our scale, if you go into our P-plane channel box, we can go ahead and scale Y -1, and that will go ahead and flip it for us. And then I'll just go ahead and move it down, and I'm pressing F to go ahead and try to get this in the right place. I mean, get my camera to zoom in where I want it to. So now here, I'm just going to go ahead and select these verts, move them in to line it up with the bottom half. Okay, and that looks about right. And if I find the top half, which is here, now we can go ahead and select both of them and then go to Mesh, Combine, and then make sure we go to Edit, Delete All by Type, History to get rid of the history on them, and then we can go ahead and use our Edit Mesh panel again and just use Merge Vertices. If I find it in this, I go Merge Vertex Tool, and I'm just going to drag that bottom one to the top one, and same here. Okay. Now what we can do, because we don't need that edge in there, I'm just going to zoom in on there, select this edge, shift right click, delete edge to get rid of that edge there. Okay. So now that we have this, we're doing pretty good. Now we're just going to have to go ahead and flip it to the other side. So let's go ahead and select the whole thing, Control D, and then press R to scale, and then we're going to need to scale this on the X -1, and that will flip it over. Now we can go ahead and select both of these, go to Mesh, Combine again, delete history. Okay, and now we just got to merge these words together in the center. So I just zoom in there, select these top two, merge vertices to center. And again, this is shift right click, merge vertices to center. Again, this tutorial is aimed more at beginners, so I'm not going to explain as many things as I do in the Wally series. I will still try to go ahead and gain a lot of detail, but to try to speed things up, I'll try not to go into too many things. So now that we've flipped it over, as you can see, this side doesn't really line up. So what we're going to do is just select them verts and push them back a little bit. So what we're going to do, go into our vertex mode and select probably one of those ones and just push them back a little bit. I also have a cold at the moment, so if my voice sounds a bit funky, I do apologize. Hopefully it will go away soon. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We got our inner rim blocked out, so let's go ahead and have a look. And again, there is so little space for me, but that's fine. We'll get used to it. It's fine, guys. So let's go ahead and select that plane. We're just going to go ahead and push it back. Okay. And now what you'll notice is that our reference is not lined up with the X correctly, so let's go ahead and fix that. I'm just going to select it, but first we need to go ahead and unreference this, so I can select that, and then again go into our input image plane, and then in the center Y we're just going to go ahead and drag this down so it sits on this thicker black line. Now what you'll also notice here, if I select our plane, is that this plane is meant to be sitting inside here, okay, and it looks right on our front view, but it doesn't look right on our side view. And this is something that you'll encounter a lot when modeling from reference that's not properly lined up and stuff. And I could have went ahead and rendered out proper references from the case that I already modeled, but I wanted to sort of get you guys used to this, to work around it, that things doesn't line up with your references, because most of the time this is what you're going to have. So I'll try to explain how you sort of deal with them. So now we're gonna, once we have both of these done, I'll just make sure that I delete that. And in our top view, we're gonna go ahead and bend this so it looks like it meant to. So as you can see in our top view, it's not that bad apart from perspective. So we'll just go ahead into we'll just go into our vertex mode and start pushing these back, okay? So let's just see how we should do this. So what we could do just for this is we could just select this top plane and move it over so it lines up roughly with our top reference, and then it might be easier for us to go ahead and bend it. So let me just see. I'll select that vert and this vert and go ahead and push them back. Okay, that looks about right. And select that one and that one, push them back. Make sure you pay attention to both bottom and top. Okay, so we'll do that with this as well. And we'll need these two and them two. Push them back, okay. And then we're just going to select all the rest of them and push those back to roughly here, okay? And then we'll get a nice little bend going. So let me just turn off X-ray so we can see better. And then let's go into our perspective mode. And if my mouse wasn't freaking out. Okay, so that looks like quite a nice curve that we need. Okay, so that's great. Let's go ahead and now we can go ahead and extrude this out. So let's just go ahead and select this and then edit mesh, extrude. And I'm just going to go ahead and start pushing this back like so. So now we can go ahead into our side view. And this is roughly, in the case, it's probably going roughly this deep. But what we're going to go ahead and do is move this forward first of all. So we'll move this to around here. Okay. And now we can go ahead and select this faces on the back side. If I double click, that should loop all the way around, and it does. Let's go back into our side view and just go ahead and push these back a bit more. We could also go ahead and straighten these out. So if I scale and then drag this way, it will be straight. Now let's just go back into side view and push it back to roughly where it sits, which is there. And that's great. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We still have a bit of time for this video. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and bend this around so it lines up here as well. So let's go ahead and select this edge loop and then go into our front view again. And we're going to go ahead and start scaling this after we move it. So let's go ahead and move this back. in the translate X, we can just go ahead and zero this out and it will move back where it's meant to be, okay? And let's go ahead and select this loop again, go back into a front view, scale, and I'm just going to go ahead and scale it down. So what we're trying to do here now is we're trying to line up this edge with this inner edge of the case. Okay, so I scaled it down uniformly, and then I'm going to go ahead and try to scale it down here. Okay, that looks about right. And let's try to do it here as well. We can't, but this is the most important bit, probably around the corner, because we can always adjust these top verts fairly easily. And that looks about fine. Okay, so now let's go ahead and zoom onto the top, and we can go ahead and start moving these verts around. And again, I need some more space to see, so I just close that, and then we'll go ahead and start from the center. So let's select this vert and move it down, and we want it there, and then select these two, move these down, select the next two, move them down, and these two. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and select, I mean, it doesn't really make too much difference, but we might as well do that as well. So let's go ahead and, I think it was them two, am I right? Yeah. Actually, it's pretty easy to tell if you have both of them selected by, if you select one, let's say you select this one, and your move pivot is not in the center of the grid, then you have the wrong one selected. So as you can see, if I select them two, this is not lining up in the center, so I know that if I deselect this, select that, now this is in the center, so I know that I got the mirrored ones moved over. We could also delete one half, only line up one side, and then duplicate it over, merge it together. It depends on the workflow that you prefer. For me, it really depends on what sort of mood I'm in. But now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the bottom. So let's go ahead and move these two, select them two, and let's go ahead and keep moving these verts up, and it's just going to take a little bit of time to get these looking right. Okay. Alright, so that looks pretty good. We could go ahead and move these two up as well a little bit. I mean, no one really going to notice, but oh well. Okay, so there we go. There's our inner black panel, and for some reason I can't select it. There we go. So let's go ahead and have a look at it. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Alright, that's great. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to use this mesh to go ahead and start blocking out this piece. Okay, so I'll put it in the next part. So I'll hope you guys enjoyed the first part, and I'll see you guys in the next part.